Hey guys, I'm back again for another DC toy review, and now we're taking a look at Jakks Pacific's next line of Sonic action figures alongside DC action figures. Basically, the DC X Sonic the Hedgehog crossover thing that's been going on since last year, or since they announced it and started on it last year, and then it's continuing on for this year, and probably continue on for a little longer, hopefully. But seriously, this is still, in my opinion, one of the greatest crossovers I've ever had to see. You would have imagined the reaction I had when I first saw these at Target stocked up entirely, and I'm genuinely surprised to see these, and even more so to find 2.5-inch scaled versions of the Sonic characters in the respective superhero costumes. So that's something that I was really happy about. But it's only these particular sets made so far, and I know there's going to be an extra set of these being made with the 2.5-inch scale respective characters, like with Flash, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern, and all that stuff. But this is really one of the most exciting things I've ever seen. So right out the bat, just gonna go ahead and just take a look at the package. So first we have Batman and Shadow. This is just so dang cool. I can't help but just look at this. We have our Shadow and Batman crossover thing. This just looks so dang cool. And even more cool is the artwork on the side right here with Batman on the top and Shadow on the bottom right there. That's just really freaking cool. Of course, you got the DC X Sonic logo right there. Also really good that it's, again, the new DC logo, which is more of the classic DC logo, which I'm kind of glad that they have that DC logo right there. And you got the figures right there. And then the back side, you have the prototype image of the respective figures on the back, which looks pretty nice. Then you got the bio right there, also in different languages. I want to read that. But of course, you got the other logos on the top right there. The figures. Let's get a close look at the detail and the way the figures look like in the prototype. And then the other figures you can collect in the line, which is what we have right now. It's also funny they gotta mention the ports of articulation in the back, so they don't have to go over that. So the package is already doing that job for me. Here's Superman's card art with Knuckles as Superman as well. Also, basically the outfit is the Rebirth outfit, so they're going with the Rebirth style outfits entirely. But as you can see, there's Superman and Knuckles on the side, and this side of the background is red, showing. Oh yeah, and I also realizes the different aesthetics on the cities on the top of these. Batman shows Gotham City right there in purple, Superman and his Metropolis in red. And of course, Cyborg's at a much more futuristic location in yellow, but we'll get to his in a little bit and check that bit in detail. And also, another thing I also like about the package in the background, you got the Hall of Justice background right there, so that's actually really cool. In the back, see the prototype image of Superman and Knuckles right there. The bio's the same though, so there's no difference there. Also, the respective logos, close up of that, and again, the points of articulation and the other figures you can collect down there. And here's Cyborg and Tails' package. This is just really cool. And also, Tails as Cyborg, how he looks right there. It's just adorable, but also very awesome. Here's how the back of that looks. The figures and the prototype status. And also the points of articulation actually is a lot lower. 1 point higher for Tails. Alrighty, so now that we got the packages out the way, let's go ahead and get all these out the package and take a closer look at them. Alright, so now I got every figure out of their package. They look awesome. They look really, really cool. I am loving what I'm seeing. So what should I look at first? Well, you know what? I'm just going to start off with Tails and Cyborg. Let's start off with Tails and Cyborg. Well, let's start off with Tails first. Let's just look at Tails as Cyborg. He looks really cool, but he's also very adorable. He looks really nice. It's just a small figure, but he's in the perfect scale that I would love him to be. It's just very awesome looking, and also really like his overall choice of the Cyborg outfit. I mean, of course, I would have preferred a more simpler look, but even then, it's just, regardless of how he looks, he just looks really cool. It's just really nice. Also got his two tails right here. They're articulated, so they swivel. And also his arms and legs and head moves, but really just looking at the overall detailing of the character here, I just really love that smile, that really badass smile he has, while also still looking very cute. He just looks really cool. I really like this figure. And also he's got this giant claw-like cannon hand right here. I mean, at least that's what it's supposed to be, right? Because Cyborg got the same thing. But he just looks really cool. That's all I gotta really say about Tails. He just looks really, really nice and adorable as Cyborg. It's just that's I got nothing else to add. I'm just very impressed with the detailing, the paint work. It's very simple, but it's just so effective. Really love this figure. And if I want to compare it to the original Tails that I have, here's the other Tails that I still have, which is came from like a while ago. I forgot what year they started working on these, but now it's funny that you can definitely see how far they've come in terms of paint work. Now this Tails figure is still pretty good, still like it, but it does have some imperfections, and the way they painted the mouths were kind of questionable. They got a little red smile instead of a black smile. I mean, because it's just a line, it doesn't have to have any real color to it. But yeah, this is standard Tails and this is Cyborg Tails. But I can already say without a doubt, I'm liking Cyborg Tails more because of the improvements of the paintwork. And he just looks a lot more, cooler that way. But of course, standard Tails is pretty good too. So that's the comparison. And really, I don't got much else to say about Cyborg Tails. He just really looks cool. Really loving the way the detailing is on the figure. So as far as I'm concerned, they crammed in a bit more effort on this figure, and I'm pretty impressed with the figure. So now let's go push them back here. Let's take a look at Cyborg right here. And I will say this because Jakks Pacific has done previous figures of this particular scale, like human scaled figures. They've done this with Eggman, and I think they did a Jared Robotnik figure for Sonic 3 as well. But I haven't been collecting much of those particular figures in the 5-inch scale because, of course, when I'm collecting these types of figures, I'm usually collecting them on a I'm usually very picky with the scaling of my figures. But I will say this Cyborg figure is pretty cool. And I have not even owned a 5-inch Cyborg figure because I know McFarlane has also made a Superpowers 80 style Cyborg, but that might be a little bit more pricier to get a hold of. But this is basically Rebirth Cyborg or New 52 Cyborg, I don't know which, but Rebirth Cyborg. But he looks really cool. The detailing is great. The paint work is also pretty good too, as far as I'm concerned. There's not too much sloppiness there. There is a little bit of a imperfection up there at the top of his hair right there, like there's a little bit of the tip not painted in or something like that. Oh, I don't know, really doesn't really matter much. What really matters is that it's a pretty well made looking figure, and the articulation is nice too. It has 22 points of articulation. Won't go over too much of what they are, but it's just very simple that the way this figure looks and the way it's designed, it's pretty cool. Even though, again, I prefer a much more simpler Cyborg design, but New 52 or Rebirth Cyborg doesn't look too bad. He just looks pretty cool. It's also got that same cannon-like claw arm right here, which looks really nice. It does swivel. That's another thing. I also really like how it rotates like that too. There's the back right here, more incredible looking detail down there. And there's also the trademark logos on his, well, on his butt. Odd place to put it there, but yeah, you can see the intricate little details that they've added onto the figure, of course, because that's the point of this figure, is to look a little bit more detailed than it usually should. I mean, it would have been a lot simpler if it was just a standard figure with like little points of articulation, which I would have taken because it would have made it look more like a classic style toy as far as I'm concerned. But a classic style with a modern upgrade, or basically the same articulation points as a Spin Masters 4-inch Cyborg figure, which I do have. And here he is right here. Basically sort of a similar look right here. Except this is what I was really talking about when it comes to simplicity. I definitely still like the simplicity of this figure right here. But yeah, there's the difference between what Spin Master did, though they have yet to even make an updated version because they're definitely improving on their overall sculpts and different design choices. It's Spin Master I'm talking about, but this is Jakks Pacific right here. But also another thing, let's see how Tails scales up with Cyborg right here in terms of scaling. So this is what I was really talking about with the scaling. This is why I like the 2.5-inch Sonic characters, because they do match up better with a 4-inch figure than they do with a 5-inch figure. So that's what I like right there. But yeah, other than that, this is pretty much a really cool figure. So done with that, done with both Cyborg and Tails. Now let's take a look at yeah, let's go with Superman. We'll go with Superman real quick. So now we got Superman Knuckles, or Super Knuckles right here, looking pretty cool. And there's also his costume is basically this standard Superman Rebirth style outfit he also has with, well, he still got his knuckle gloves, which is great. And he also has his Superman style boots right here. It's just obviously nice. He also got a little cape attached. It's obviously a rubber cape. Also, his tail is his tail's blue. His tail is basically packed in within the costume, so it doesn't poke out, I guess. Also, his S symbol is stamped on there pretty nicely. You might not be able to see too much because of the lighting, but I'm doing my best here. I'm gonna go ahead and take a closer look. There we go. Yeah, it looks to be stamped on there, but it looks really cool. And also, his belt is painted very nicely. No problems much on there. Also, the way Knuckles looks on this frame right here, he looks pretty cool. Just getting a close up, it just looks pretty nice. Let's go ahead and compare it to his regular counterpart, which again is another previous figure release. Now you can already see the improvements of the paintwork already. Like his purple eyes are a little darker on the Superman variation, and his mouth is also painted black in terms of the line. But of course, the older figure has different options, like a lighter purple and red smile right here. I mean, there's a big difference there. Also, even the boots, I think the boots are also, they look like they're the same size, but one that looks a smidge bigger, and also is better to perfectly balance Knuckles from falling, as far as I'm concerned. So I'd say I definitely am liking Super Knuckles a lot more than his main version. I don't know if we're ever going to be getting like these same figures with improved paint schemes, though, in terms of their eyes and mouths. But at the same time, oh yeah, even the muzzle or whatever, his skin tone right here, like you seeing how it's a different color compared to the original Knuckles figure, and I'd say that's already an improvement on the Superman version on Knuckles. So that is incredible. But yeah, Super Knuckles, he looks very awesome, and I like it. Now let's go take a look at the Superman figure itself, which is a really cool looking figure. Even if he doesn't have the trunks, he still looks pretty cool. He's still got that heroic persona, and the suit in general is very vibrant, which is a major plus. He's got multiple parts, well, the 27 points articulation as stated in the package, but I'm not going to go too much on the articulation points. All I'm going to look at is the likeness and the costume. His likeness to, well, he just doesn't have much of a resemblance of any actor or anything. He basically resembles a comic book like Superman. Pretty nice. I mean, I would have liked that if he had a smile, because Superman smiling is always nice to have. But of course, he does look pretty good without the smile. His S logo looks nicely stamped on there. I wouldn't say they painted it. It's definitely stamped on it. It looks nice on here. I wish the Superman logo was like they had to choose a different logo instead, but it still looks pretty cool. But they always choose that very same standard Superman logo for most of the time. The blues on the costume in terms of the overall like plastic they use for the blues is pretty cool, and the overall musculature and the style of the figure is pretty cool. Also, the boots down here looking really nice. The cape is rubbery. Well, it's not really posable, but at least it has the S sculpted on the back in this bright yellow. Very cool looking. I'm really starting to actually grow a little bit more on this figure, because again, it's like initially, it's like looking at it a little bit, it's like I thought it was cool, but it wasn't 100%. But until I got it out and I actually started looking at it in hand, it's like, this is really good. Now let's see if I can compare it with a 4-inch and 5-inch Superman figure to see the difference in the size. And here's a scaling difference right here. So we got Spin Master's 4-inch Superman right here, and that's the first one that I actually bought, which was the transparent outfit variation that I found at Target years ago. And he scaled right up alongside Super Knuckles right down there. And like I said, he perfectly scales more right here. Like, this is the perfect scaling right here. But I'm also was curious about the scaling of the Superman figure right next to a Superpowers David Corenswet Superman figure, and I don't know why I haven't even done a video on this separately yet, because I could have easily done one and just, you know, but I guess it was at a point where I was really exhausted with doing figure reviews. But at the same time, I could have just done it there. But this is my chance to finally show this figure that I actually own a Superman, James Gunn style Superman figure from Superpowers lineup. But it actually does look like it is just in the same scale as this figure. So I'm glad that it's basically on point. It's like a smidge bit shorter, but at the same time, I'm glad that this is a 5-inch action figure, because now I got a super articulated 5-inch action figure of Superman. And it's really cool though. Again, if I were to say it, I think the Superman figure would be immensely better if it did have the red trunks. But other than that, I'm actually really happy with the Superman figure. He's really cool. And the Super Knuckles alongside it is also very cool too. Definitely love this set. So now let's take a look at the last one to go over it. That is the Dark Knight, and well, Dark Knight 2.0, but the ultimate Knight. I don't know, but it's Shadow and Batman. Can't even fit down the screen. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a closer look at Shadow as Batman, or Shadow Bat, or Bat Shadow, or whatever name you want to pick. Well, honestly, he's just very freaking cool this way. He's awesome. And his bat suit is also pretty nice too, but I did fan art of this particular character and like a redraw. And I will have to say this, I would say his outfit would look a million times better if that costume was black. But it is the Rebirth style outfit, and so is Rebirth style Batman in the back right here, which I do have a 4-inch variation of, both gray and black as well. Just looking at Shadow Bat right here, or Bat Shadow. I'm just going to say Shadow Bat. He just looks really cool. It's just very awesome to finally own a figure of Shadow as Batman, because ever since I saw that animation for the first time, I was like, this is going to be the greatest thing that ever exists. And now I own an action figure form of that, and he looks really nice. I think it would have been a lot better if his palms were a lot more open. I mean, his hands will be more open. Like this one has a little bit of an open hand, but it's still a little closed out. And this one's just a fist. Also, his cape is rubbery. He's also got purple right here on the inside of the cape. Also, Batman's got the same thing too. That's something I didn't even catch at first, but yeah, he's got purple on the inside of his cape, black on the outside. The backside, let's take a look at the backside, but that's how that looks. His quill color's right there. His boots are recolored to look more like, you know, to match with his overall costume design, which is really nice. All right, I got regular Shadow. And this one actually has a grin on his face, so not much of a painted mouth. It's just a grin. His teeth are showing from this point. But yeah, this is regular Shadow, mainline Shadow right here. It is without a doubt that I'm going to say that I like the superhero version more, because he just looks like it has more improvements in the overall detailing and everything. He looks really, really good compared to his original mainline version from years ago. It's just a very clear difference right there. Yeah, that's the comparison right there for that. And just an overall very impressive little small figure, and I'm glad I finally own him. So now let's take a look at Batman, a 5-inch scaled Rebirth Batman, which is really nice. Getting a close-up look at Batman right here, as you can see, doesn't have too much of a particular likeness because it's obviously based off the comic. And he does have the short-eared cowl. I mean, it's not too bad. At least it's not too short. But he does look pretty nice. Got that very mean, menacing, anti-hero style look as far as I'm concerned, but he looks really great. And his costume right here is obviously the Rebirth style costume with some intricate details and striations added in alongside his overall muscle suit. His belt is also sculpted separately, all yellow, which is cool. His gauntlets right here, got the blades on the side, basically same as Shadow's costume. Shadow's costume is basically the same as Rebirth Batman's costume, so the detailing is basically similar. And then the boots down here. Just overall a pretty impressive looking figure, but I gotta say it again, it just would have been greater if his costume was fully black. And also, here's the purple in the inside of the cape, the rubber cape, and for the outside is just black. But it's got some nice soft details right here. Well, I wouldn't say they're like soft, but they're very well noticeable right there. And there's this flip on the backside as well. Just how that looks right there. But yeah, it's a pretty good looking figure. It's also got the same 27 points of articulation as Superman. Don't have to go too much on that articulation points, but he's posable just like most of the figures. And his bat symbol is also nicely applied on there, though I got a little bit of a scuff on the side right here. But not too bad as far as I'm concerned with the Batman figure. It's a pretty cool figure. And here's a comparison between my custom Val Kilmer Batman figure from Batman Forever And we also have a Spin Master 4-inch Batman, which is matching his Rebirth color scheme entirely. And like I said, this scale right here is perfect. Boy, you would be even more perfect. There. Like I said, got a black variation. Just imagine that color scheme on Shadow's costume and also on that figure. Oh yeah, and also switch that out just for another comparison's sake. But just imagine that color on these two. That would be very awesome. Also, one more change of pace. We got Michael Keaton returns Batman right here, and George Clooney's Batman. And honestly, George Clooney's Batman here is in the perfect scale right here. It actually matches this particular figure right next to him. It just looks really cool. And I'm just gonna straight up say it. Just imagine that costume on Shadow, and or that costume on Shadow. Oh my freaking goodness. It's just so cool. Alrighty, so that's gonna be it for this review. I'm gonna go ahead and end it off with the DCX Sonic the Hedgehog crossover figures with Batman and Shadow, Superman and Knuckles, and Cyborg and Tails. Just very, very fun figures. If it's one thing that I forgot to talk about in terms of criticisms, I would have actually preferred if these particular figures on Superman and Batman, and also Super Nux and Shadow Bat, I kind of wish they had cloth capes. Would have been a lot more fun if they had cloth capes and implemented into them instead of, having these rubber capes. But at the same time, they're not too bad compared to most rubber capes. So yeah, I'm excited for the next few figures, which is, I know they will be making 2-packs, including Flash with Sonic, Wonder Woman with Amy, and Green Lantern with Silver, which is going to be very exciting to finally own that one. So I don't know when they'll ever do it, but they'll probably do it soon. I'm definitely looking forward to the next wave of these types of figures. So that's it for this review. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will be seeing you guys later.